your weekly update on all the news making the headlines for Spurs over the last week, including De Zerbi coming in as their head coach, Mohamed Kudus being out for the rest of the season, Mikey Moore comments, Ashley Phillips, championship player, and of course James Maddison's legs. Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. My name's Lee The Dorset Spur and this is your weekly Tottenham news review. If you are watching on YouTube, please do hit that subscribe button, like, share and comment in the comment section below. Alternatively, if you are listening on audio platforms, please do hit the follow button and leave a review if you can. Well, what a week it's been. Loads and loads and loads of different stories. Of course, the big one at the moment is Mo Kudus. I think it makes sense to kind of start off with that. So there were hopes at the beginning of the week that Kudus was going to start back being part of the matchday squad as from kind of this weekend. But apparently he has hit a setback and is now not available and unlikely to be available for the foreseeable future. Potentially he could end up having to have further surgery, and so it looks like his World Cup even is out as well. Unlikely to be able to go to that, so unlikely to play for Spurs for the rest of this season. Big blow, a real big blow for Tottenham for sure. With the new manager coming in and saying that he was, expecting him to be a big part of his plans. He did want to buy him previously when he was at Brighton. So a big blow, first blow for De Zerbi on starting with Spurs. Other stories around that sort of thing. Bentancur still not quite ready, but he's training with the first team, but it's still a bit too early for him. Vicario, obviously, he had his hernia surgery, and so we are waiting for him to come back. But as expected, it will be a couple of weeks before he's back between the sticks, if that's the case. Hopefully, Kinski can have a good impact. He's got a lot to make up for with the Atletico debacle. So hopefully he'll be able to really show his worth. I've kind of said previously in different kind of discussions that when he first came to the team, he looked pretty good. And a lot of people were saying he could keep Vicario out. Never quite happened. Some friends of mine suggested it was because of Ange Postecoglou and how he took away individuality of players. And he hasn't really featured since Ange has gone. So it's hard to know whether this is just a confidence thing or whether he has, he just started off well and has petered out. I remember particularly against Liverpool, I thought he played particularly well. So fingers crossed that he can return to that sort of form before the end of the season, if we're not going to have Vicario. Longer term, it looks like Vicario may well be leaving. Lots of rumours out there, even Fabrizio Romano commenting that Vicario has been in talks, or his people have been in talks with Inter Milan, and he looks like he wants to go back to Italy. So that'll be interesting to know whether that comes to fruition. And of course, from that then linked into the story about James Trafford and the fact that he's likely to leave Manchester City at the end of the season, and commanding a price of around 35 to 40 million pounds. So potentially there is the opportunity for for us to pick up James Trafford. 23 years old, 6'6", already won a trophy this season, won the under-21 European trophy for England. Clearly well thought of, having gone to Manchester City, who don't buy rubbish, to be fair, not always, but of course pushed out of place by Donnarumma, who's obviously a quality keeper, and so that was always likely to happen. So Kudus out, Vicario out, stumbling a little bit. Trafford potentially coming in. Another one to talk about is Luka Vuskovic, who's having a really good season out in Germany. He's obviously been talking, still a Spurs player, got another 4 years left on his contract, and but has kind of said that he would love to play alongside his brother Mario. Ruffled a few feathers, mine in particular. I don't really like that. But I guess that's being partisan because of your feeling towards your own club. You want them to love your club in the same way that you love your club. Unfortunately, that's not going to happen, is it? That's not the sort of likely scenario that a player or every player loves your club as much as you do. Some do, I think about people like Graham Roberts, Mickey Hazard, who clearly still love the club, but not all players are that sort of player. Thinking, if you think about, Sonny, for instance, who loved the club. Hopefully, some of these current players will come along and really buy into the club and so on. But that's for another discussion. Mikey Moore, obviously, he's been talking a lot in these interviews and stuff. There was a show that was put out on YouTube, talk about his life on loan and stuff like that. So interesting story, and that loving his life up in Glasgow, really enjoying it, potentially going to win the league up there maybe, and all the rest of it. But obviously wants to come back to Tottenham, wants to show the fans what he's got, wants to be part of what's being built there, and I can't wait for him to come back. He is definitely one for the future, and I think his learning experience in Scotland will really stand him in good stead, because that is a big club up there. And whilst some of the other clubs may not be at that level, they will always put up a big fight when they're playing those top two, in Rangers and Celtic, and really wanting to get one over on them. So I think he's had to face up to some real challenges up there, but we'll see how he fares, and hopefully he'll come back and give us some good times back at Tottenham. Sean Dyche, he's been interviewed a few times, talking on TalkSport about never being approached for the Tottenham job, and was unlikely to want to take it anyway, because what's really in it for him if he's not going to be a long-term appointment, which I totally understand. For me, if Dyche had come in, I would have been okay with it for this last 7 to 8 games to get us over the line. But of course, if you said to me, Dyche is going to be a manager for the long term, I wouldn't have been impressed with it, because obviously, to be fair to Sean Dyche, he's got a reputation as a bottom half manager and all that sort of stuff, which to a certain extent I think is unfair. I think that's probably because he's an English manager. I think Sam Allardyce had the same problem. Never really got the opportunity to go to a really big club. Got the England job and then got kicked out very swiftly for stupid comments and stuff like that. So totally understand where Dyche is coming from. I would actually like to see him pick up one of those jobs and see what he really could do, because I think he's better than people give him credit for. I think, and going back to the Allardyce thing, I think his Bolton team, some of the players that he attracted there, your JJ Okochas, for instance, he had some quality players there and played some good football at times. So, I think this fact that they're English players, English managers, kind of goes against them to a certain extent. I mean, if you look how matey at Newcastle, his name escapes me again, sorry, how it escapes me at the moment, but how the good job he did at Bournemouth and all that, and kind of getting up to Newcastle and winning a trophy with Fulham last season and so on. Bearing in mind he's hoping to get loads of money and not getting it at the moment for various reasons. So, So moving on, Alfie Whiteman, who retired from football at the end of last season, he's got a photographic. I don't know what you could kind of put it. He got a photo book and an art exhibition, I guess, is how you would phrase it, and that's going to be at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in the Oof Gallery from the 1st of May. Retired from football, very young, but has found another passion. I think the exhibition is based on his time as a loaned player out somewhere. So that would be pretty good for people to go and see if you're in the area and that's the sort of thing that you're interested in. Of course, the main talk, I guess, will always be about De Zerbi finally getting named officially. I mean, we kind of knew it was coming. It felt like it was coming. But yeah, he was put in as it was officially announced that he was the coach. We've seen some videos of his training sessions, which looked really interesting, looked really good. A lot of arms around certain players and a lot of time speaking to players, getting involved right from the beginning. A lot of stuff that we kind of fans have been calling out for: get your arm around players, play them in the right positions, play the best players that are available, that kind of stuff. So lots of pundits have called that out, Sherwood, Hoddle, Tony Pulis, all these guys have all kind of talked about all these different things to try to kind of get him, give him that advice, I guess. But I'm sure he'll make his own mind up around that, So yeah, it'll be good to see how this pans out. Of course, we've got our first game on Sunday against a decent side in Sunderland who have done very well this season. Not going to be easy for sure, especially with Kudus out and Bentancur out and all the others that are out. But it'll be. Fingers crossed we're going to get a managerial bounce from this, because we didn't get one with Tudor. So hopefully we do get a bit of a managerial bounce out of that and get us on the right road. Of course, West Ham play tonight, and if they win, we go into the bottom three. And psychologically, that's a big impact. You don't really want that, do we? Going into the bottom three. So really need them to lose and for us to win. We need to win at all costs anyway. But of course, if they lose and we win, that gives us that 4-point gap, which is what you need going in, and build from there. It's been a long time since we've really got that win. So yeah, I saw someone put out 109 days or something without a Premier League win. So yeah, that's very worrying. A couple of other bits and pieces around transfers and stuff. Yves Bissouma, another one who's kind of making noises that he wants to go. Not one that many fans would stick up for, to be fair. His time at Tottenham has not been very good, which is really disappointing, because not a bad player. Had a really good time at Brighton, but definitely hasn't put it in at Tottenham. Now, De Zerbi coming in, could that give him the boost he needs? A manager that knows him and knows how to get the best out of him. He's had limited playing time under previous coaches. We're not sure why. Is that because of his performance? Is that because of his attitude? I know we had the issue with the balloons and all that kind of stuff. So maybe that that's part of it. But we'll see. And of course, I did want to mention about Ashley Phillips being nominated for the Championship Young Player of the Year, having a really good time up in Stoke and speaking very highly of the team there and feeling like he's part of it. So fair play to him. Again, another player that we brought in, young, sounded like a good option, had the right sort of credentials, but has gone out on loan and we've not seen anything of him since. So whether he's good enough or not, I don't know. I don't watch the Championship at the moment, so I don't know whether he's good enough or not. So time will tell. But congratulations to him to be nominated for Player of the Season in the Championship. A funny little story about James Maddison, and most people would have seen all the videos of James Maddison training and stuff like that, and starting to look really, really sharp and doing really well in his recovery. But there was a bit of a scare about his one leg being bigger than the other, which he has debunked by putting a picture out or a little video out on his Instagram, talking about how the admin need to get their camera angles better, because his legs are actually the same size. So that looked like a bit of a nonsense, to be fair. And of course, talking of leg issues, we did see the one with Kudus limping, and fears that he was out for even longer with his knee injury, which then turned out to be that he'd had a second operation to remove some stuff that shouldn't have been there in his knee. And that's why he was limping, and he feels 100% confident that he will be able to get back and play in the World Cup. Well, that may well mean that he gets some minutes at Tottenham this season. If he's going to play at the World Cup, surely he needs to be able to kind of do that, you know. But yeah, so we'll see with Kudus whether he gets that opportunity to ever get back this season. But fingers crossed. If he doesn't, then to a certain extent, I'm hoping that he doesn't play in the World Cup and gives him time to get a proper recovery in, ready for next season, so that we can sort of see how he gets on and gets a really good flyer into the next season. And finally, just to finish off, Roberto De Zerbi has had his first press conference as a Tottenham Hotspur head coach. Some good stuff came out of that. He talked a lot about his not bringing in too many coaches to maintain consistency. He talked a lot about some of the players that are at Tottenham that he wanted to buy, you know, players like Xavi Simons, Matisse Tell and stuff like that. He kind of gave him a bit of a boost. Called out Gallagher, needing a bit more from him, back to his Chelsea days rather than his Atletico Madrid days, and Kolo Muani, who's not had a great season, who he still says is a very good player. So maybe we're going to be relying on those players until the end of the season, regardless. And so he wants to big them up and give them an opportunity to really show what they've got. So yeah, a bit of a whirlwind week, lots and lots of different stuff going on, lots and lots of little stories there, trying to pick up all the different bits and pieces that have happened, rather than just talking about the one. But yeah, this weekend, crucial weekend for sure. Really don't want to go into that bottom three. That would be absolutely killer. And if we do, we need to bounce straight out of it come Sunday, because if we don't, it's a long old wait to get out of it, and psychologically that would be really impactful. So anyway, I'm going to leave it there. If you've managed to get this far through the 17 minutes or so that I've been rabbiting on, thank you very much for watching. As always, it's a pleasure to be here. As I said previously, if you're watching on YouTube, please do hit that subscribe button. Leave a comment in the comment section, like it, share it, all that kind of good stuff, all that kind of admin. Audio platforms, again, if you're out walking the dog, or you're driving to work, or you're on holiday, or you're traveling on holiday or whatever, please do hit the follow button, leave a review as well. That's always really, really helpful for all sorts of technical algorithms. Like I say, my name is Lee The Dorset Spur. I do have my own channel. If you've liked this video, maybe you'll like some of the stuff that I do on my channel. So if you'd like to come across and subscribe to me as well, I would be really happy to have you along. Do try to talk to my subscribers very often. Yeah, so let's say no pressure, but thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you on the next one. Thanks again. Up the Spurs.